We were live a minute ago, but I realised I hadn't pressed the right buttons to get us live on Insta, so we had to stop and start again. And I hope that hasn't caused anyone any trouble. Oh God, I'm not with it. I just said I'm so tired. It's been so hot, which is lovely. Having the window open is not lovely because it's just so noisy out there. But so I can't even think. I can't even talk straight today.
We used to live on a main road, and when we used to have the windows open, I became more accustomed to the noise, but it just used to be like Fridays and Saturday nights, all the drunk people walking home.
Yeah, we've got that. But because we live above our shop,
Mm.
it's not considered a residential area. So people tend to forget that there's people living in the street. You just think they're shops that are shut,
Mm.
but they're not. Never mind. Anyway, here we are back again for another session of the VA Live Lounge. And today we're talking about how to know when you're ready to hire. And I think Kirsty could just manage this one on her own because she's just announced that she's hired someone, haven't you, Kirsty?
I have. So I kind of I've been trying to sort of do my social media and my admin and stuff like that, but I just haven't got time. I haven't got time to do it. And I always say to people, with your social media, I don't like this new layout. I'm talking to myself. It's really weird. Uh, if you're going to do social media, you've got to do it properly. Otherwise, there's just no point. So
Mm.
I've hired my daughter to do it for me as of Monday.
Do you think she will actually do it?
Yes.
That was a shiver, yes. How do you know?
So I'm paying her an hourly rate to do
Okay.
it, and because she's finishing school, so she's only got 2 weeks left of school. So she's going to want some money for her. She's got 114 days off
Mm,
for summer, so she's going to want some cash for the summer. So yeah, I'm
okay,
doing a little
fair
training
enough.
session over the weekend.
Are you? That's exciting. And how did you know that you were ready for this?
Because I always tell people that they should be doing stuff like this, and I manage so many people's admin, and I manage it really well, and everyone's really pleased with it. And I look at my own and I think, "Oh, it's just a mess. It's just stuff
Mm,
everywhere. It's just a mess." And I kind of thought, I don't really want to do it at the weekends. I don't really want to be working for free at the weekends for myself because it's the weekend and I work my ass off all the week long. So I just said to her, look, if she didn't want to do it, I was going to have to ask someone else to do it.
yeah, I think it's really important though to know whether you truly are ready to hire or whether you've just got yourself into a bit of a mess. Because we've talked about this loads and loads. And when I do my getting started as a VA group program and the course that you can do, self-led course, one of the things that I tell VAs to do very, very early is to work out their actual capacity. And it's something we're all guilty of. Even I was guilty of it. So I give them a really cool calculator that shows them what their real capacity is versus what they think. And the reason for that is a lot of us, a lot of VAs fill your day with working with clients and put your own admin off, your own marketing and all of the business management stuff you need to do, because you don't consider it a priority. So you end up working weekends and evenings. But actually, the real thing to do is to factor that in
Mm.
and then understand whether you really need to take someone on. So how that looks is you work out what your dream schedule is. So how many hours do you think you've really got? So how many hours a day do you want to work? What time do you want to start? What time do you finish? Once you put that in, you then take out any days or any times you can't work. It could be the school run. It might be you only want to do a 4-day week, whatever that is. You remove it. Then you remove your buffer time between clients. So 15 minutes to half an hour between every client. So you can reset, get coffee, think straight, switch into the next industry. And then you also add in time for your admin and your marketing. And then what you realize is those 8-hour days have just been reduced to something like 4 or 5 hour days. But that's okay because what you shouldn't do is increase your client load, you should increase your prices. And I think only after you've done all that, then can you truly see if you are ready to hire. Because what you don't want to do is accidentally have got yourself into a position where you're moving all of your own tasks to the weekends just because you've not scheduled right, and now you're paying someone unnecessarily when actually you don't need to,
Yeah.
because what you're essentially doing is taking on an extra client to pass that money on to someone else rather than just free up that time to
Mm.
give yourself the right time in the week does that make sense?
It does make sense, but I think you're right on a really good point there, because I think one of the days I did, I don't remember if it was this week or last week, it was like 11 and a half hours or something ridiculous like that. And I kind of got to a point, to be honest, which is really bad, I don't take breaks in between clients. I just go from one to the other. because I haven't got time to do that, which means I haven't got time to do anything else. I eat at my desk. I don't really leave this room unless I'm going to the bathroom or just, whatever. So I'm constantly in this room working all the time. And kind of the realization was, geez, man, like I've got no time left. And you're right. You do. It's so difficult though, isn't it? Because like we said last week, everybody just wants to earn the money, build a business up and earn the money. But I think there's one point as well last week I went, I'm like, what is going on here? Like I'm literally like glued to this screen like all the time. And that's when it's kind of like I either need to get someone to help me to do my business side of it, rather than keep on going into the mess that I'm in, kind of thing.
Yeah, but I do still think, people don't really zoom out enough to understand where the money's going or where the money's coming from. So you're in a situation where you're so busy that you can't even take a lunch break. That's not really a way to run a business. You should be able to take lunch breaks. And for me, if you've got to a point you're so desperate for the money, it probably means you're not charging enough, or something else is wrong there. So it is about making sure you are truly ready because you've put all of the right mechanisms in place first. And then you'll know, okay, even though I've done all of these things, I'm still really busy and I really still need to take somebody on. And it could be for your admin and things like that. It could be that you're not the best person to do that for yourself. And I do think it's really good practice for VAs to have their own assistant. And I took you on really, really early into the business. And without doing that, I don't think I'd have grown as quickly as we did, because it allowed me, even though I still worked with clients, it did allow me that thinking time to put into the business. And then gradually that process becomes a lot easier. So now I don't really work with clients at all. And I basically spend my entire days on thinking about strategies for the business, networking, business development, like what can I do to bring in the actual money rather than deliver the service. So I think it's thinking about that as well. But the other thing is about hiring, it's not just about hiring an assistant, it's saying, well, actually, like you've just said, I'm at such capacity now, I can't even take a lunch break. This could be the perfect time to hire an associate VA. Have you thought about that?
No, I'm just going to get Amy to do it all.
But we've talked about not taking on family. It could be the worst mistake you ever make.
No, I think she's really clever, so I think she'll be all right. But I think no, I've never thought about taking on an associate, to be honest, because I don't have the right mindset. And I think you've got to have the right mindset to be in a position to take an associate on, because my mindset is, well, by the time I've taught you how to do it, I could have just done it myself, which is not a brilliant mindset to have. And that's why I know I'm not ready to take somebody else, a full-on associate, I suppose.
But the problem there isn't that's because you haven't processed your business. You haven't put a process in place to be able to teach someone. But at the end of the day, if you took on an associate and you had somebody in the background ready to go, they don't need to know what you're doing, because it would be for the next client coming in. It wouldn't be for a client you've already got. It would be for the next one, so that you're not turning them away. So I think if you end up in a position where you're at capacity and you're turning clients away, that's the perfect time to start taking on associates, because that's money you're leaving on the table. It doesn't matter about training them. You don't have to. All you're doing is vetting them, getting them ready, matching them with the client. The client's training them. They're starting from scratch with that client, not you. So that at that point, then you can start earning a profit from somebody else doing the work, and you can keep adding to that. So I do think if you're finding yourself at capacity, you can't take lunch breaks, you're barely getting out, but you really can't take on any more work, that's a massive sign that you could start taking on associates, so that when the next client comes, you're not turning them away. What do you think about that?
See, I've never really thought about it being anybody else other than myself. It's never been on my radar. I've never wanted to be in that kind of position. I don't know why. There's no particular reason. It's never just entered my mind that I would be like that, to be fair.
Yeah, but you are in that position. So if a new client can call in now, you can't take them on. The answer is just to say, sorry, no. But that could be... No, but come on. Let's say you wasn't this was just you solo on your business. Yeah, you're not doing any associate work or anything like that. It's just you. why would you then turn that person away if the opportunity is to say, yeah, you can work with my colleague, and you've got someone you know really well, you trust really well, but you make money on that?
I don't know. It's never really entered my. Maybe it's because I've never been in this position where I've been fully at capacity, I suppose. But I think it's sort of this has probably been the busiest I've ever been since I started doing this like 5 years ago. So maybe that's the reason I've never thought about it.
Yeah, but I would urge anybody that has got to that point that it's a great opportunity, because you can start to make a profit with somebody else delivering the work, and then all of a sudden you'll see more opportunities. Like for you, Kirsty, you're not a tech VA, but if you had people coming to you for tech support, you could easily take on a tech VA to deliver that service, and you can earn some profit off the back of it. So it doesn't have to be a massive team, just a couple of other people. They could each take on 10 clients each, just an extra 20 clients that you couldn't take on that someone else could.
Yeah,
So
too grown up for me though.
well, maybe for you, but not for our listeners.
Oh, exactly.
So people that are on that fence and they're thinking about it. So we have just opened, well, today the doors close actually tonight to our group program, which is from solo VA to agency. So if you are thinking about developing your business into an agency, taking on associates, and you want to know all the right steps, the legalities, everything you have to do, the group program is available. The doors close tonight at midnight. You can go to morethanava.org/events and then don't go to events, go to morethanava.org and then just have a look. You'll see the group programs and go to from solo VA to agency, and you can have a look. But the doors do close tonight. There's some bonuses in there, and it's a 6-week program. You get all the live sessions on playback if you can't join live, and it takes you from step by step on what you have to do. It's going to be a really good program, and I think for me, we learned a lot along the way, didn't we? A lot of mistakes that were made. That now I think we've got the perfect formula to make sure we don't make those mistakes again. Because that's the other thing. When you start hiring, you've got to make sure you do it right.
Yeah.
And go on, sorry.
No, go on, carry on.
Well, we've only hired people that work for themselves, so they run their own businesses. But then there might be a point that you're ready to take on an employee as well.
I think as well with with things like you're offering, we're kind of like proof in the pudding, aren't we? Because like you say, we did make mistakes, but then it's like trial and error. Now we've got a really good concept. If you are thinking about taking on associates, to teach you how to do that in the right way, because we did make some major mistakes, but we kind of rectified those, and now we've got a really good process in place.
Absolutely, and I think it's telling because we've got the most amazing team now, which we just couldn't quite get right before. But I want to go back to my first business. So there's like literally, I did a talk yesterday at an event about the 3 secret ingredients you need to scale. There's actually 4, to be honest. I always talk about your people, your processes, and your systems, but your systems and processes kind of go hand in hand. Then there's your strategy. And a lot of virtual assistants start their business with only one strategy in mind. Can you remember what that is, Kirsty? Because I bang on about this all the time.
Oh God, no, don't put me on the spot.
It's just to make money. That's it. There's no actual thought process behind how they're going to do that. It's just to make money. And that's why we see these coming soon, I'm going to be VA posts literally nobody cares about. Now, when I started my first business, my strategy was pretty much the same, just to make money. And I was learning as I went along because, like a lot of people, not been to business school or anything like that. I'm just kind of learning on the go. But I fell into that trap of doing it all myself. And this was a very different business. This was an online business. This was an in-person service-based business, which was physical. And it's very different when it's physical. I'm not saying it's any more exhausting, but there is a lot of physical elements, so you are constantly exhausted, because as well as doing the online stuff, you're actually doing picking up, dropping things down, lifting, all sorts of things. And in that business, I did all the sales, all the invoicing, all the marketing. I did the actual delivery, driving across the West Midlands, and then actually the work. Now imagine I'm driving across the West Midlands and no one is actually doing the work in the background because I'm not there doing it, which means I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, I've got to get back. And there were times I remember getting up about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, climbing into bed midnight, 1 o'clock, fully dressed, because I was just too exhausted to get undressed.
Yeah.
I'd get up the next day and not even get undressed, just do the same again. I'd cry. I'd be crying all the time, and I
Oh,
couldn't go on holiday for any longer than a week. Sometimes it was a literal 24/7, and the panic sometimes of I'm not going to be able to do. I'm not going to get there. What am I going to do? And all of this pressure, but all of these were signs I needed help, and there were a number of reasons that kept held me back. That I still see people doing this today, and that was I didn't think anyone could do it as well as I could. I didn't feel like I had time to train them, and every bit of money come in, I wanted to keep because I didn't. The thought of handing that money over made me sick. The strategy is that you hand that money over because it's not that you're giving away money. That's how you're going to start making a profit to release your capacity.
mm,
And I don't shy away from the story that I carried on like that for 7 years, like literally 7 years. In that time, I met my now husband. I had to try and make that relationship work. I went through IVF treatment, and then the only thing that changed for me was finding out that my son was going to be, well, most likely wasn't going to survive when he was born. And if he did, he was going to have a battle on his hands. And that is exactly what happened. And that forced me to take action. And so I took on a delivery driver. I took on 10 subcontractors and two commercial businesses to help do the work, deliver the work. And the business started to scale because
mm,
I was the person in the way. When you try and do it all, you become the bottleneck because nothing can move around you or past you. It's like
yeah.
having a cork in a bottle, literally, nothing can get past it. And by releasing myself, the capacity could increase because once you haven't got limitless time as a person on your own, eventually you will hit a ceiling. So when you hit that ceiling, nothing else can move, nothing can grow. So by removing me, the ceiling was lifted, the capacity was increased, and that meant revenue could go up. And it took me all of that time to figure that out. And eventually I sold that business, but it did mean that I came into this business, the VA agency I built, and was able to implement those strategies really, really early because I knew this time around. And
Mm,
that's how, even through difficult times, even when I first started, like I wasn't, the first thing I did was took on an accountant this time because I didn't do that in the first 10 years of my other business. And I remember literally every year on the 30th of January, like, why have I left it to the last
yeah,
minute? And then
true.
this business, I was like, you know what? Before I had one client, I took on an accountant, and I said to myself, this will give me the kick up the arse to get a client to pay the accountant, even if all I do is pay the accountant. I've
Mm,
got that mechanism in place rather than I'll wait till I've got a client, then I'll pay the accountant. And I
yeah.
know that's a really weird mindset for some people, but it is the way you kind of have to speculate to accumulate. And so I did that. And then I thought, okay, how do I get past this fear of, oh, because people say, oh, we just need the money first. Once I've got enough money,
Mm,
then I'll pay someone. You just fall into a trap of keeping the money.
yeah.
So I just said, well, I have to get to a certain figure. And once I get to that figure of income, everything else gets passed out. Or that figure wasn't for, luxuries. It was just what I needed to put food on the table. And the minute I got to that, everything else I took on associates for. And
Mm,
sometimes, as you know, in this world, you could have clients come in one day, might get two clients one day and three leave the next. And when that happened to me, it would be me that had to not get paid, not the people I'd taken on.
mm,
But I knew that this was still the best formula, and it worked. In under 4 years, we got to a six-figure turnover. So without doing those things, you're never going to get anywhere. And it frustrates the crap out. I mean, I see people doing it all the time, not just VAs, but the clients that we try to sell our work to,
mm.
oh, but I'm not ready yet, or I can't afford it. You will never get to where you want to be with an attitude like that. You have to just take the gamble and pay the money sometimes. It's as simple as that.
I think it's a difficult thing for people to admit, not admit, but to sort of come to terms with, though, isn't it? I think from speaking from my own experience, like because it's difficult to make that step because I think I don't know. It's a really weird mindset to try and get in. I think, like we speak to these clients all the time and they tell us like their pain points, their pressure points, and we say what we can do, blah blah blah. But we're almost the same. But
Yeah.
I guess unless somebody actually says to you, like you've just said to people that are listening and to myself, it's understanding what that point is where you actually go, right, that's it now. Like I need some help here. It's a difficult point to get to, I think.
I think it's only difficult if you haven't got a strategy. I
Mm,
honestly believe that. I think if you've come into your business with a strategic mindset that says, I'm going to create something that's scalable and saleable, you
mm,
will make those decisions. The problem is when people start businesses without really knowing what the end goal is.
mm,
You want to make money, but you haven't quite figured out what the next steps are. And so, a good way to look at that is thinking about what do you do the day you decide you don't want to run your business anymore. So you get to 67, your state pension's coming in, and you think, oh, you know what? I fancy retiring. What
mm,
happens to that business, that VA business you've been running solo for the last 30 years? What do you do with it? Do
mm.
you just drop it? Because wouldn't that be a shame? Wouldn't that be a shame to do that? Especially if at that point you've got this whole bank of clients and you know how hard it is to get clients that someone else will gladly
Mm.
love to have. It makes it really valuable, except it doesn't. If you try and run your business as a solo, you can't sell it. It's impossible to sell. It will not become valuable. And I learned this. So I did sell my first business. I was able to get some money for it because I had taken on a team, but not very much at all. And the reason for that is, especially in the UK, when you come to get your business valued, you have to prove that the business can survive without you for at least 2 weeks.
Mm,
And for most people, they can't demonstrate that. I can demonstrate that. I have been away for 5 months. I still did work, but I can go away for 2 weeks. I know you're handling everything. I
mm,
haven't got any worries at all. And I know the team is sorting their clients out. The world will carry on without me.
yeah.
But if you sit back and take the time to strategize and think, okay, I'm running this solo business. I like it. I don't have any ambitions of scaling. Okay, fine, no problem. Fair enough, carry on. But just know you won't sell it one day.
Mm,
If you're thinking, oh no, I would love to be able to sell it one day, then just you've got to start hiring. It's as simple as that.
mm,
And it's the only way. So even if you think about it from that perspective, you have to develop a strategy or you won't get into that mindset. And if you've got a fear mindset all of the time,
yeah.
then it means you're not running a business that you want to scale. So you have to get clear. What growth and scaling are two completely different things. Growing a business is starting from one client to 10 and you're still okay. Scaling is to infinity and beyond. It's your wildest dreams.
Mm,
So you have to start thinking about what is it that you want to get to one day.
mm. And yeah,
So
yeah, I completely, honestly, everything that you're saying is making complete sense. And I think anybody listening take that on board. But again, when I started to do this, my idea was to have a nice little bank of clients and just carry on earning the money. There was never like one day I'm going to sell it. It would never even enter my head. Like, why would anybody want to buy it? Do you know what I mean? So you're right. You've got to have the right mindset and you've got to have the right strategy.
and would you so let's say you're giving up your business now. There's loads of VAs out there that would love. I do search. Sometimes I search for VA businesses for sale. They're never for sale ever,
Mm,
because I would happily buy a client list. Right? No, I would buy it. It's so much easier than going out there trying to find clients, and
mm,
they don't exist because VAs are not doing this. They're
yeah.
not doing it, and it's such a shame. Like it is such a shame. Honestly, you've got to be thinking about it. So
Mm,
that is another reason to start thinking about hiring as well. But also, it's thinking about doing somebody else doing the jobs that they can do faster and better than you can do. So if you're constantly hitting a wall with like you've done a course or you've watched a YouTube video on how to do your own Facebook ads or your Google ads and you just can't get to grips with it. Every minute you spend doing that is a minute you're not spending actively trying to bring in clients into your business.
mm,
So that's not a job for you to do. And
mm.
it's not smart. So, when people do spend time trying to do everything, it's really dumb, quite frankly. It really is. Like, I know, because I did it for 10 years. Well,
Mm,
who did I think I was? An accountant, a marketing mastery person. Who did I think I was doing all of these things?
yeah.
I'm not the best at doing all of those jobs. So why on earth I thought I was, I don't know. So now I'm not the best. So I do take on people to help me with my Google ads.
Mm.
I have invested in someone to help me with strategy. You know, I've been on all of the personal development courses I can imagine. But if there's something I think there's no way I'm going to be able to do that, then I'm going to pay someone else to do it because, and I might have to save for it. Don't get me wrong. It's not like the money might just be sitting there,
Mm.
but I'm going to strategically plan to save for it. Same as our cyber essentials. We want to do our cyber essentials. I've had lots and lots of things I've had to prioritize. But what I'm not going to do is go, I'll do it one day. I'm going to make a plan and save the money. And
Mm.
that's what I've been doing for the last 3 months. And now we've got the money in the bank to be able to do that. So
Mm.
it is thinking, I think it all comes back to strategy, doesn't it?
Mm.
At the end of the day.
Absolutely. And I think as well, for me, I think this kind of turning point about getting someone to help me to do this kind of thing, you know, I've just got signed up with an accountant. This is the first time I've ever signed up with an accountant because I've always done it myself. But I don't want that burden of, like you say, oh my God, 30th of January's come round and I'm scrabbling to grab all the invoices and all, you know, they're all over the place. I don't know where they are. Where would I find them? It's hours and hours of getting everything together, phone bills, you know, internet, all of that stuff. I can just get someone else to do it. And again, I've only been able to do that because I've got to the point where I can afford to do that.
Yeah, but yeah, okay, you're right. The thing is that people, they, like you've just said, you've done it now because you've got the money, and the problem is you do it before you've got the money because you free up your time to make the money to pay for it. But what you've actually done is get yourself, it is like chicken and egg, but you get yourself into to such a mess, you know, with such a panic, and you've done that for years, and over capacitated, is that a word? Yourself. It is now. I just termed it, put it in the flipping dictionary. You get yourself over capacity. I think I might have said decapitated and capacity at once. Yeah, capacity. You get yourself over the amount of clients you can really serve in order to make that money to pay someone. But what you could have done was, I know it's uncomfortable, you pay them before you're ready, and then you're now free because you're not doing your tax returns every month to go and make the money. And I listen to people, I listen to like people like Lisa Johnson, Daniel Priestley, all of these people, they all say the same. If you're going to have a mindset that says, I can't afford it yet, you're never going to get anywhere. You're never going to get anywhere. I went to one of Lisa Johnson's strategy days. It was £500 to be in that room, right? As people in that room have never heard of things like what we teach, lead magnet funnels and all of this. And separately, I own a software company where we provide CRMs. And there's a woman in that room, does not know what a lead magnet is. I still can't get my head around this. And she said, asks what it is. And then someone explains, and you need a CRM. And I go up to her later. She has no idea how much our monthly subscription is for our CRM. And I said, I provide a CRM if you want to chat about it. And she says, I'm not ready for that yet. And I'm looking at her thinking, what are you doing spending £500 being in this room? You've just might as well have taken that money and flushed it down the toilet. Because the answer is you are ready. That's the exact next step I'm going to take. I've just sat here and strategized, and then I'm going to go and do nothing with it because I don't want to spend however much that is every month. It's bonkers to me, but maybe that's because my mindset is one of business and growth and all of that kind of thing.
It's a really weird thing because I had this conversation with somebody the other day because even on my email signature, I don't have CEO or director or anything. It's just my name because I don't see
the problem.
I don't see myself like that because it's just me. It's like I remember years ago, right? I worked in this business, not this one, but when I was full-time employed, right? And everyone's title was manager, right? They didn't have anybody underneath them, but they were a manager. And I often think, if you're a manager, who are you managing? Right? So if I'm a director or a CEO, I can't call myself that. I feel stupid saying it.
Well, but that's the problem is you're not the only VA that feels like this.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm not.
Oh, you're not. But the minute you don't think of yourself as even if it's the director, you become an employee. Your mindset will literally allow people to treat you like you're an employee. And so many VAs are doing this. They're working with clients and they're just being an employee. They're not owning the fact that they're running their own business. They're not laying boundaries in place. And I think you are a perfect example of this. You are someone who I've seen constantly lower your boundaries, not charge the right amount, work evenings and weekends, not have the uncomfortable conversations. And part of that problem is because you don't see yourself in that way. You need to go and slap director onto your signature, see yourself as that. And you know the power of the mind, yeah, and how you can manipulate the brain. It literally does change the way you show up. And you know, like you've started doing the superwoman pose in the mornings. It's that trick of the brain and the psychology. Like just by putting down that you're a director, you'll start to see yourself in a different way. So I urge anyone that's having those kind of fears to do that. You have to own it, because otherwise you might as well just get a job. This is a jobby, a job and a hobby.
No, it's really weird, right? Now I've got this actual accountant. It has changed my mindset ever so slightly that like this is proper now. This is, you know, this is how it's going to be. So it does. And I know people think I'm a knobhead because that whole superhero stance thing, it actually does work.
It does work. Let's do it.
Honestly.
Let's do it, Kirsty. Do
it. 2 minutes, right? Hashtag Grey's Anatomy. And it completely changes your mindset. And now I've got Danny. Danny's come on board now. And, you know, he's looking after all that side of it. It does make me feel like I'm a proper grown-up. I'm 46 in a week. And I'm I'm only starting to feel like a freaking grown-up but you're right. I should put that on my email signature. It gives me sweaty hands just even thinking about it.
But you're going to go do it. Not on our email signature, but on your email signature. You're going to go do that, right? Yeah.
On my LTA one. Oh, CEO.
I'll be like, what's she on about?
Give myself a promotion.
But on yours, you need to go do it. By the way, if anyone needs an accountant, let us know. We have the most amazing accountant, because I just got absolutely shafted by my last one, and he's come in and literally saved the day. If anyone's tuned in and is listening and has any questions, please just pop them in the chat. More than happy to help. And last week's episode might be really good because last week we talked about hiring associates and all the things you need to know. So that is published. You can stream that on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to your podcast. And it's on our YouTube podcast channel as well. So that one is episode 45. But yeah, so I think there are lots of signs to show that you're ready to hire. This doesn't necessarily mean that you have to take on a full-time employee. It could just be the right people to deliver the right services. I've taken on graphic designers before to help me create a bank of social media templates, logos, SEO specialists, a coach. Oh, so many people that there's things that I can't do it all, and nor would I want to, and nor would I ever want to do anything to do with the numbers, because I cannot stand it. I'm just like, you know, Danny actually sent me over my corporation tax bill the other day. I was like, is that okay? I was like, I wouldn't even know if it wasn't. Just tell me how much I got to pay.
Did you even try and work it out, or did you just go like monkey with a Rubik's Cube?
No, I literally just didn't open the email and says, yeah, it's fine. Because like there's no point in asking me. I'm not gonna know. I'm saying this out loud. Anyone could come at me now and totally scam me because I'm crap with numbers. But I definitely think if you didn't join in at the beginning, you've got to think about really working out your capacity from the start in the right way. And as I said, the process that is you think about your start and finish times. What do they want to be? Then you take out the actual times you can't do because you want to have lunch, or you want to have breaks, or you want to walk the dog, or you're going to take the kids to school. Then you take away some buffer time in between clients to reset, because VAs are notoriously working in different industry. 1 minute you could be working for an author, and the next minute you could be working for a biochemist. So you really do need that switch. And then finally, you need to take out the time for your admin and your marketing, and then you know how many hours you've actually got left. And most VAs will look at that and go, well, there's no way I'm going to make any money if I've only got 5 hours and a day. But what you do is you increase your rate and not your capacity.
I think that's the key, isn't it? Because I think it's that mindset shift of, well, I'm giving these clients away, but I suppose it wouldn't ever cross my mind to up my price. I've never upped my prices, which I know you're going to kill me for every time.
Yes, you have to up your prices incrementally every year as good practice, because the gap will get so big
Yeah.
that you won't be able to claw that back. And I mean, literally, the cost of living at the moment is ridiculous. So, eggs, I mean, just a box of eggs, they used to cost £1. They're like nearly £4 now.
I know.
Now think about, have you seen the Freddo's analogy? There was one about Freddo's where you used to be able to buy Freddo's. You could get like a box of 30 for something. Now, with the way the rate of inflation has changed, that same box you could only get like 7 in the box now or something. It's completely changed. So if you don't keep up with the pricing increases, then you will that gap will become so big. There's no way you're going to be able to eventually just say, actually, I need to increase you to £5 an hour. It won't work. I've
Yeah,
made that
you're right.
mistake
But
too.
again, it's like it's having that thought process of one, you're taking on associates and trying to make a profit, but then would you naturally? I wouldn't naturally think I've got to up my prices. I never do. So I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one. I hope I'm not the only one.
Yeah. No, I will be increasing our price. So most people know, like last year we hit the VAT threshold. So all our prices had to go up 20%, which was a massive problem because we'd failed to strategize ourselves. So a lot of the clients left. They couldn't afford that increase, which is why we pivoted this year into online management strategy and systems. But what we've done is we've temporarily deregistered, and then we've kept the prices the same at 20%. People are still paying it. And I'm still going to put the prices up, because when we go back to VAT, which we will do, then I am now earning what's the reasonable amount for where we are. So I suppose we're probably on par with everyone else, maybe a bit more expensive than some of the VA agencies. But once we go back to VAT, we'll be the same as everyone else. And we don't want to be. So, and sometimes your prices actually cleverly need to reflect that you are boutique, or you are luxury, or you are VIP. And if you're cheap, it doesn't reflect that. And a good example of this is, I have run some in-person days in the past, right? Where I've charged people to come along and learn something, and it's been fine. And then I decided to do one this year in collaboration with someone else, and it was like £85 a ticket. No one bought it. But I'm talking to people that are selling out for £297 a ticket. And the reason is perceived value. You think you're going to get more out of it. So anyway, that's nothing to do with what we're talking about. But sorry, go on.
No, you're absolutely right. Because I had a conversation with a client. I'll ask you another question in a minute. I had a conversation with a client the other day. He wasn't charging for not discovery calls, like coaching calls, like a 30-minute coaching call. It actually was a 60-minute call. She wasn't charging for. But people look at it and go, well, it's free. It's not, what's it gonna
Yeah.
Nothing. And now there's a value on it, and there's a lot more interest is being gained. But my question to you is, like, what advice would you offer to people that are transitioning into being an agency or just looking to hire? What would your advice be in terms of putting up your prices? Like what value? How much would you put it up by, like £1 or £2 or what?
So it's mainly percentage. So a good price increase per year is about 3%. Rising your price is about 3% every year. When it comes to starting to take on associates, and one of the areas we cover is how to make a profit. A lot of people think it's really clear cut, and they fall into the 30-20 trap, which is this. I'm going to charge the client £30 an hour. I'm going to pay the VA 20 and I'll get to keep 10. That's not true.
No.
That doesn't work. That £10 does a lot of work. It has to pay for your overheads. So you have to get really clear on what your overheads are, and factor that into the cost. And I ran a masterclass this week, and we covered this. And someone asked me what a good profit margin is when you take on clients, associates, and a good profit margin is about 30%. Now, on our current pricing, once we lift up a little bit, we could be earning 50%. So it really depends on your cost. Now, we've got Stripe costs involved, as well as all your normal overheads. So it's factoring those in. And I've said this, on average, it will cost us about £8.50 per client in overheads, because you split it over all of your clients. And then you have to also put on your Stripe fees. Now, for a client that's paying about £500 a month, that's about £8. So suddenly that's like £16-17 coming out of that profit. Now, if you're only charging £30 and you're giving your VA 20, you're suddenly at loss. that £10 got to find another 8 from somewhere, or
Yeah.
7. So, you know, you have to work this out, and it is difficult with it's difficult because you have to actually have a certain amount of clients. So if I say our outgoings are about 2 grand a month, right? If I've only got 10 clients, I've got to split that 2,000 across those 10 clients. That's going to be way more per head. If I get to 30 clients and spread that 2
Yeah.
grand, because the overheads tend not to go up, and spread that over the 30 clients, it's way less. So you kind of have to take the hits early to get to where you're going to get later on.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. But I think that's where people go, ooh. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
And also, people won't think like that. They won't think about, you know, whatever it is we pay for, email addresses and everything that's within that money between, you know, the £8.50. People may not realise that they've got to take those overheads into account.
Yeah, well, so many people don't realise it at all, which is quite shocking. Actually, for anyone that does want to join the group program from Solo VA to Agency, the doors close tonight. We give you, it's worth £27, the associate profit calculator to help you really understand what you're going to have to charge. As I say, go to morethanava.org, look at the group programs, it's in there, but the doors do close tonight, and it starts next week. But there is a real science to it. Like, even though I'm crap at numbers, you have to, you know, add that on, and I've learned the hard way myself. But the important thing is to recap, is to remember what are the signs that you're ready to hire. For me, any VA that's got themselves into a place where, or not got themselves into, it might be that you've done all the things I've already said, which is you've worked out your true capacity, you've got your dream schedule, but you're still really busy. At that point, if you're turning away clients, that's just money you're leaving on the table. You could literally be making a profit on those clients. Most VAs are not going to hit capacity until about the 13 client mark.
Yeah.
You're going to get to about 13 clients, and then I don't know how any VA can take on more than that.
No.
So about 13 clients in my experience. Once you get to, you know, your 14, 15, 16 clients, and someone else could be delivering that work, remember, you've only got a few more and you're making a profit and you're not doing any of the work.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're right. I think that is kind of, I mean, I think I've just I've actually had a couple of people leave in the last week or so, but I was kind of around that number, and I think that's where your mind goes, maybe I need someone to help me out a little bit here, because, and I think as well, what you have to remember is it's all very well earning all this money, but if you're getting to like 15, 16, 17 clients, you're letting down, because you won't be 100% focused. You might be letting down 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I think it's having that number in your head of 13 or 12 or 13, whatever it may be, of going, well, once I go over that, and just take one person on.
Yeah, the other thing you've got to remember, like you've just said, there's such a rate of attrition when it comes to clients in the VA world. Like literally, you could be at capacity 1 minute and clients leave the next. Now, the thing to do then is, oh my God, I've got to scramble to get another client. Now, imagine you're at 13 clients, you're at capacity, you're super happy, like you're skipping down the street. This is what you always wanted. And now any client that comes your way, you're like, no, I don't have the time for you. I'm too busy. Right. But if you'd taken on an associate to deliver that work instead, and you're earning a profit, your loss when your own client leaves is going to be less, because you've still got a little bit that you're creaming off the other VAs that are working. So that's another reason why taking on associates is a really good idea, because you're not, that loss from your own clients leaving isn't so difficult. And also, if you get to a point where you think, actually, I would love to just manage the business and not work in it with clients, you get to slowly start to hand off your own clients to people. And that's what happened to me. I don't work with any clients anymore. I mean, I could, and I could make lots more money. And trust me, we've had really difficult times. I started January crying on the phone to my old accountant, and she suggested I go back to being a regular VA. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm going to fight through the hard times, because I think this is the best way to get the business to the next level. And that's what I've continued to do. Self-belief is really important. Somebody asked me yesterday, I shared my story of my business journey, 22 years of business this year, and the mistakes I've made and where I've got to. And she said, how do you have the personality traits? What would you say the personality traits are that you need to do what you've done? And I said, resilience and self-belief. You've got to be, if you cannot run a business and be without resilience, because you'll get constant knockbacks. You'll feel like you're doing it wrong sometimes. You'll lose clients and you can't take it personally. And you've got to believe in your abilities. You've got to have those two things. They are key.
I think that's one of the things I struggle with, as everybody knows, is my self-belief. I think that's probably why my mindset is the way it is sometimes. Do you know what I mean? And I think you're right. You've got to be pretty thick-skinned, as we well know, in the last month or so. You know, you've got to push on through the pain, as you say. But yeah, so I think you're right. You have got to have that resilience, and you have got to have that self-belief.
If we come full circle to everything we've talked about, your lack of self-belief shines through, because you've talked about the fact that you don't think of yourself as a CEO or director, and you don't put it on your email signature, that you haven't thought of taking on associates because it's just you and you're worried about them not being able to show them how to do it. And I hear all of these things, but what I really see is someone who doesn't believe in themselves. And if you did believe in yourself, and you did see yourself as the director, and you did see yourself as able to train someone else up and not be scared, your business could shift into an entire different level to where it is now. And to recap, for anyone that has joined late, and some people have joined late, if you want to sell your business one day, and Kirsty, you've built something that could be saleable, you can only do it if you can prove that you are not at the helm for at least 2 weeks. In the UK, I don't know about other countries, but your business is scored on how well it can manage without you, not with you in it. So you've got to take yourself out of that situation. If you want to sell your business, you've really got to start thinking about that as early as possible. Because like I say, wouldn't it, we all know people join now. How are you finding it super easy to get clients? Because if you're not, how much would you pay to take on a whole client list from another VA? You'd pay money for that. You'd pay good money, because even if it was a lot up front, you're going to get the recurring revenue off that long term. So your business should be considered a saleable asset. And the only way you're going to do that is if you start hiring.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that it's for everyone. For some people, they don't need all this. They just have 5 clients because they just want to put some extra money in the pot in their family, and that is it, and that's fine. You know, you already know you don't need to do anything more. But if you're constantly hitting capacity and you're trying to do everything yourself, and you still want to grow your business, then it's time to start thinking about taking people on.
Yeah.
And there's so many benefits to that, as we've said, and as well taking on the people who can do the job that you can't do, or do it better and faster than you can as well. And like for me, I'll give examples. That's people that doing SEO, strategy. I do strategy, but sometimes you're not the person to do it for yourself. You need
too far
to
in
zoom
it.
out.
Yeah.
You're in the weeds. So you've got to let go of your ego and your fear a little bit, I would say.
Yeah.
Not you personally, I mean everybody. If you joined and you didn't ask any questions and you really wanted to, then you can always just reach out, drop us a private message. We come back every Friday at 10 a.m. live on Instagram and YouTube. You can listen to all the back episodes of the VA Live Lounge on your popular streaming channels. We are now on season 4. And next week, we will be back to talk about how to realistically fit a VA business around the school run. So anyone who's thinking about getting started, or already has and they're struggling, or they haven't really understood how to manage it, we're going to talk about that. And yeah, we've got lots of experience to bring to the table when it comes to that kind of thing as well, haven't we, Kirsty?
Yeah, we have. And if anybody wants to be a guest on the podcast, then feel free, because we'd love to have somebody on that you can put us under the spotlight.
Yeah, we do. We want someone who's just thinking about getting started and kind of just like do a Q&A session. You can ask us anything. Yeah. So let us know and we'll send you over the details. We have got a couple of guests coming on soon, but not probably till next month. So I'll let you know the details about that. Anyway, if you are interested in hiring associate VAs and you do want to make sure you do it the right way, the doors do close tonight at midnight for the From Solo VA to Agency Group program. Go to morethanava.org, head over to the group programs, and you'll find all the information there. And have an amazing weekend. Thank you.
Bye.